Good evening, everyone. Myself, Vandana, the National Youth Representative of the Wiki Water Resource Council, welcome you all on behalf of the Monday Munching, Musing with Women for Water. This is an initiative of the Eco Development and Research Cell, a not-for-profit initiative of the Environment Design Consultant based out of Ahmedabad. This initiative has been possible with the support of Water Resource Council of the Women's Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Acronym stands for Wiki WRC, and in collaboration with W4W Foundation, and our media partner for the event is Counterview. I'm joined today with Dr. Mansi Bhargav, who's the National President of the Wiki Water Resources Council. Welcome, Mansi. We are glad to start the conversation, namely Monday Munching, Musing with Women for Water, which we colloquially refer to as Blue Lips among us, aim to share the worries and wisdoms by the women, of the women, for the women in the water sector. In here, we hope to learn about the water endeavors in a regular, disciplined manner, like a masterclass. For this masterclass today, we are here to listen and know more about Poulomi Banerjee, who's Wiki State President Chhattisgarh. To give more details about our speaker for today, an economic geographer by qualification, working extensively in the field of carbon, water, livelihood, and gender trajectories. She is currently heading the Environment, Social and Governance ESG division of the IB Group, a protein conglomerate based out of Chhattisgarh. In terms of her educational background, she has done her PhD from JNU, Department of Regional Development, School of Social Sciences. She has also pursued her postdoc research on comparative groundwater analysis across the Ganga-Brahmaputra Delta from TU Delft, Netherlands. She has an enriching experience working with research organizations, and we will hear more about her journey, etc. today in this conversation. So first of all, heartiest welcome to you, Poulomi, to the session.
Thank you, Vandana. Thank you for inviting me. It's a great opportunity for me to talk to you. And thank you, Mansi, for giving me this opportunity to discuss the kind of work that we are doing and also get to know about the other people who are working in this network. Yes.
I wish to place on record that, Poulomi is representing the sector of which we often talk, discuss, but not really know much deeper about. So Poulomi, I think you will be shouldering a higher responsibility today to speak on behalf of the private sector and how this can be shaping up the discourse that we are going to talk in terms of women leadership, etc. So I think before we begin, we want to know a little bit more about your work, Poulomi, in terms of how you get started in the water sector and how you have worked over the years. If you can just quickly take us through your journey over the years.
Yeah, yes, Vandana. So as you mentioned that my journey with water started with my PhD, which I did on on water resource, watershed management in Ratlam, Madhya Pradesh. That was my field, and that I did my MPhil also on that, on watershed management back then, and did my PhD on sustainability of watershed management implemented by different kinds of agencies, whether private, government, or NGOs. Since then, 2005, I submitted my PhD 2008, but I was working with TERI, the water division of TERI, when I was pursuing my PhD. And since I was fortunate to work in the water division, and that gave me an opportunity to actually see how the implementation happens on the real life. The theoretical understanding in my PhD, got transferred into what the practical challenges that I have seen. And after completing my PhD, I joined Saki Water in 2012. And that was also the organization focused on, they have focuses on water across South Asia. So that also helped me to continue my journey with the water sector, very specific. And at the same time, expanding it into climate change and gender and livelihood. That's how my the work trajectory kind of expanded from between 2019 and currently 2000, like very recently. I was working with the government now and often, but I have worked with one of the projects with the district government, with the CEO Jela Panchayat in Chhattisgarh called the district of Mungeli, which is one of the districts in Chhattisgarh. And that was a project which I worked as a consultant with a company based out of Hyderabad called Core Carbonex. And there we have kind of prepared a scientific analysis of Maniari irrigation canal, which is, we did a groundwater, we did a hydrological modeling, and we prepared the cost and designing of the intervention of that irrigation canal. So the project just got over before, this happened just before I kind of joined IB group in here. So that's how my association with water started and is still continuing.
Very interesting journey from research to actual practice on field. I think you have been one fortunate woman who has been able to, taste it from all dimensions, I would say. So just building on to it, what is your job role presently as the ESG head, and how does it link with water?
Yes, so ESG is a very new addition to the company as environment, social, and governance responsibility. The company it's a protein conglomerate, so they are into poultry is their core business, and they are also into animal feed, whether it's poultry feed, fish feed, shrimp feed, and they are into also soya edible oil. And rice bran oil, and then hospitality sections. So their operation is expanded to 12 plants that is spread all across India. And now with this, they are in the process of entering into new era of becoming an IPO in the state. So during in this journey, they have been associated with a lot of international financial institutions like ADB. So in this journey, ESG is very, very critical, because one is, it is mandatory for some financial institutions, and also it is very important for their sustainability reporting, which they are going to kind of come up in the next year or so. And that is very critical for their IPO journey. So, and the third dimension, the company was been doing it through their CSR activity, and also through their operations, whether they're manufacturing operations or their associations with different farmers. They have a contract farming kind of entrepreneurial model, which the company operates in the poultry segment. They have been doing, water conservation. They are been doing waste management, but they have never kind of done a research, or they have never documented it. So that is how, all these things, they are commitment towards environment, their commitment towards emission reduction, their commitment towards better health and safety of their people, and compliance to the national and international kind of regulatory framework, along with their urge to document what they have already done and to move from there to another level, has actually kind of shaped up with this, coming up with this particular verticals as their prime prime division in their corporate office. So I am like 4 months old now in the corporate office, and now we are in the process of expanding, and also we are in the process right now. I'm in the process of documenting a lot of policies. Now in that, the water becomes a very, very important dimension. Basically for them, the water recycling is what the company is doing, and also conservation in certain areas, like there's list wastage of water, recycling of the water. Now from there, we need the different financial institutions want the company to reach to a level where the water conservation will be more, recycling will be more, wastage will be less. So now they are into water auditing and auditing within the plant, different harvesting mechanisms that has to be within their policy. So right now I am in the process of formulating a water management plan for the company. And this management plan will be applicable to all their operations across India. So whether within the plant, which can be like for example, rainwater harvesting or different other means, and also outside the plant, where they will augment the point sources where they're actually drawing water. So yeah, so in both the cases, we are kind of developing the plan, the water conservation plan. And this plan is also associated with their business model, in the sense that if they are successful in implementing the plan and conserving the water, they will get a reduction in the interest from the financial institutions. So everything is connected to their business goal and their benefit financially. That's how this operates, and that's how I am placed, and I am kind of doing with the finance team.
Wow, you have taken a mammoth task to actually, kind of step in as a role model and try and create something from scratch. And I'm sure it would be, it's in safe hands, and we really look forward to hear more about it. I think it's time to bring Mansi into the conversation, as we have to transcend to women leadership in this whole arena. So Mansi, over to you now.
Thank you, Vandana. And can you hear me? Do you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Vandana, and thanks, Poulomi, for the initial, warming up of your professional activities. And since the discussion is more on the womanhood of the water, as well as discussion is on the leadership, so I'm going to steer a little bit towards that and bring the conversation on that side. As you rightly mentioned, that you were really trying to establish the water management plan, and I'm sure you are also coming across this challenge of gender in the institution, as you have also worked in various stakeholder groups, including government, multinational, and grassroots, and even academic institutions. So just to understand from your point of view, because when we make such kind of plans, do you see the room for also including the gender agenda into making the water management plan, for example, even in the office? And at the same time, how are you now managing water management, not only in the office, but even the life management in terms of your personal life? So these are two questions I'm just going to start with.
Yes, absolutely. Because gender, as I told you, water is one very critical component of the entire ESG, or the environment and the social system, as we say. So I am right now in the process of establishing E and S component in all their operations, whether it is finance, whether it is purchase, whether it is health and safety. So it's like my role is like an octopus, it is just spreading its wing, it's everywhere.
But that's also the role of a woman, because the discussion more here is on the woman, and we already do an analogy of women with Ma Durga. So I just wish to bring back the conversation to you as Dr. Poulomi Banerjee and talk about, how do you do this multitasking? One at the organization, because you are setting up a new system of work, new work ethics. And also you have your own life and career management as well as the family. So just to understand how a leader manages herself.
Yeah, because I think you're very correct to put it like this, particularly such kind of a already a multidisciplinary segment like ESG, which has a lot of things which are embedded. It's not a very clean, straight, clear-cut work. It just spread across. And it's so much of overlapping with every other units or operations in any private sector. I think a woman can give the justified I mean, a woman can perform the best with such kind of a multitasking role that this ESG kind of demands.
How are you doing it? That's my question. How are you?
Yeah, yes, that's true, because it has the gender component everywhere. So as I started that we are working on E and S. So in that, the gender is very critical. So whether in the corporate where I am working with HR, so as I told you that it is connected to everything that a company will be operating. So with HR, I am the first thing that I've asked them that what are your gender policies? So, so whether it is maternity leave, whether it is, harassment, sexual harassment policies, so to the minor details. Now, second task is, if you have the policy, how much is your implementation happening? And the challenge and also the interesting part is that because it is a very male-dominated scenario here in most of the private sector, and particularly in this Chhattisgarh, in Rajnandgaon, because socio-cultural aspect also plays a very important role about the women's involvement in the private sector. So here the number of women is slowly increasing in the company, but still in comparison to men, it's much less. And in the top leadership it's even lesser. So so in this way, when so right now when I'm talking to HR with the kind of training programs that is required for gender sensitization and equality, it is opening up a new door of discussion with the main leadership. So that is the best part of it. So I consider it not as a challenge, but an opportunity to talk and show them certain ways which otherwise might not have strike in their mind. That's how the leadership, the women leadership, is so important in a private sector. I mean, such kind of a socio-cultural context where the company is located. Now this is at the corporate level. So whether it is like sanitation, hygiene, everything, starting from because a man looking taking a gender lens and a woman taking a gender lens will be different. So that how it is happening. So right now I am also in the process of developing a course or a training program on POSH, which is on sexual harassment, and that is with the learning and development team of the company. So it is regularly happening. Now we will be working, particularly taking a gender lens into it and see how upgradation can be possible. So that process has started. I have been talking with them. So this is one hand. On the other, as I mentioned, that there are a lot of contract farming, that is their core business. And in which they are actually kind of do an agreement with the farmers, and there are farmers across India in every state. Now there, if I wish to include the women farmers, it's something which I'm trying to now put it into the policy or in their practice. So to try to figure it out, what benefit a women farmer can get for the company, whether the different avenues. So if they are engaging with a women farmer, what are the different benefits that the company will get, or more number of people will be attracted. So those lenses, which right now I am working out with the example sales division. Sales division is very different from what the business division, number of business heads responsible. So in that with that division, I'm working out on engaging with women farmers. So bring more and more women farmers into the contract farming pictures, and what are the different ways that can be possible, which will enhance their business. So gender becomes very critical, and in whether in the corporate or in their association with the farmers in their socio-economic entrepreneurial model.
Yeah, interesting, because you were talking about these aspects and we are already into discussing women leadership, and I'm a bit of trying to understand your personal journey as well in this whole struggle and ladder to the leadership. I just want to extend the question while you can talk about your personal life in terms of how gender issues come into the picture both at a personal front as well as professional front when you are encountering situations, you as Poulomi. And at the same time, I do understand when you are already mentioning the lack of leadership and as well as, basic addressal to the women issues. What is, in your opinion, is the reason of not much women leadership in the water sector? And you may focus on Chhattisgarh, or you may focus on your fan experience, or if they exist and are not acknowledged across the fraternity. What is your opinion on that?
Yeah, I feel that in the professionally, as you correctly said, that women are always a better leader. I feel when the human face and environment integration takes place, the sensitivity of women always works positively. But it is still a very male-dominated space, whether I have worked with the government or whether I have worked with the private, because these are very two strong pillars which kind of works. And in between, there are a host of institutions who are struggling to see where to fit, how to interact. Because whether it's government or a private, like a private company, both are very conservative in their own way. So women leadership then becomes very critical. And in terms of personally, my journey, my entire life, I mean, professionally, has become kind of a struggle to establish that. Basically, my association or my, as I'm based out of Chhattisgarh, is basically because of my family, that I am based out of Chhattisgarh, and that immediately restricts my alternatives or my choice of profession. So that's how I had to kind of everywhere I have to put down the fact that how to carry on as a woman in that particular field, with all such kind of geographical constraint, social constraint, and economic constraint, whatever way. So so that's how I feel that as and when we are growing in our age or in our profession, this establishing ourselves every time is a challenge. But at the same time, it's something we enjoy, because
opportunity also.
Yes, opportunity we enjoy, because if there's no challenge, then there is there is no maza also in that. So it's
complacency and stagnancy, huh?
Yes, it is good to have challenge, because when in the front of simple, like in the office, like today we had a meeting with an external important person in the office, and the entire team, I was the only woman was there, and apart from the fact that they're in their leadership, my finance director, to whom I'm reporting, she's a lady, and then we have a HR director, she's a lady. So still, I can see that slowly in this company also, the women are coming, and that changes even the other people. So other people, how their behavior towards in a social space, in a company space where everybody is talking, everybody becomes little more conscious, and how they speak, how they behave. So that creates that is important, that is required. And women are always considered to be much more strict leaders. So a lot of things which so I have been given certain tasks which other people have not been able to do, and they're saying that you will be able to manage, you do this, because there's some gathering data, going from other departments, asking them to do this. So that's how women are little hard taskmaster. That is also it's very critical and important in any kind of professional field. So women leaders are required right now, and very very critically required. So
interesting, because you're going ahead of the questions which I am asking. And that makes it easier for us to ask questions actually. What do you think? How can we bring a difference in this sector, especially when we're talking about having more women in the water sector, right from youth, and also facilitating the leadership? We do know that there are many women working in the activism, in water, in professionals, But then when it comes to the getting into the leadership ladder, we find that the chances become slimmer and slimmer. What do you think we should really do to bring a difference in the leadership sector of the water?
I don't know. I mean, the general perception of the people is that women are good. Like in the water, there are two group of people. What I have, it's my personally what I've observed. One is this entire, NGO and activism, and they have, and maybe researchers and this thing of policy researchers, and there are highly technical team who are into, they are executive engineers or engineers basically. So there is always a kind of a mindset that women are better fit into the first group, where it is more on, activism or this thing, and they are not a very good business leaders, and they are not very good technical in terms of good engineers probably. So I feel that is a very stereotypical idea. Even now I see in the sector. I mean, Mansi, you are an engineer. So you know how the mindset of the people operates, but that's how I have experienced in my life.
I'm facing it every day in and out in a new work engagement.
Yes, so that's
only women in the workforce right now with with a multinational project.
Yes, so that itself put us into kind of in a judgmental seat. So everybody is kind of judging us, like whether they will be, I mean the first thing the people will say, they won't be able to manage it well. If it is a very technical thing, or if it is dealing with the government, or they won't be able to manage well. So that's how the general understanding goes. Stereotypical understanding goes. So that's how I feel more and more involvement of women into the private sector also is very, very critical, particularly in hardcore corporate, where where this kind of environmental sensitivity can be brought into, since we are kind of talking more on the environmental issues, because whether you are in a government or in a private or in NGO, everywhere, you being a woman, even if you're a top leader, certain questions, unavoidable questions, every day you have to face. That somebody who is a very senior bureaucrat lady was once sharing with me. So that will be there, but still we need to push the ladder. We need to push it. That's it. And we are in a very we are in this juncture where there's some everybody's talking about gender, or there is something there is a push in from the environment also. The environment is not that extremely negative now. It is just moving, going better and better. So I think this is the right time for the young, whether it's a young professional or women, to come into this hardcore male-dominated kind of a space and establish their leadership, because the time is conducive. This is a good time, what I feel.
I think you put it very well, because the environment discourse is not possible to complete without the women discourse. It's already half-hearted if the women component is not integrated in the environment discourse, be it climate change, be it water, be it, any kind of biodiversity discussion or conservation for that matter, or even development for that matter. But just to take that your point further, I will stretch my question a little bit to ask, how do you think we as leader, I mean you as Poulomi or I as Mansi, can bring a difference in the sector? I mean, you did mention very well how the conducive environment is, but if I have to do it at an individual level, where do you think we can really do something and bring more women along? I mean, just to give an example, you are also realizing that as part of City Water Resource Council, there is a kind of an encouragement to establish the Chhattisgarh Council. But what should we do to really establish that? This is just an example, but at an individual level or at a leadership level, where do you think we can do those little things that can bring more women on board and encourage them in future to take a chart their path in the leadership direction? Because I have really no doubts that there are enough women in water sector, even though the number are weak, but I will still give the benefit of doubt, because women do multi things and then they do not qualify as water sector person, you know. So let's keep that as a reference, and then we say, how do we do little things at an individual level as already established leaders to nurture more women leaders?
Yeah, I think what Wiki is doing itself is a starting platform. For me, this is one of the kind that I am now associated with. So such kind of platforms gives a tremendous, opportunity for whether it's you are individual or a part of any kind of, institution. Because this gives a freedom to, thought process also. So the most important is that whenever we are interacting, informally, formally, the exchange of ideas itself is so enriching, because I will know somebody in Northeast or somebody in down south or somebody in kind of Andaman. When there is an exchange of thought process, it really helped. So actually, with this kind of exchange of ideas, actually I spoke 2-3 people from the network, and I wanted to know what they are doing, whether any kind of association is possible. So basically, such kind of more and more such kind of platforms, where this is India, is if tomorrow if we are having a platform which is international, that is even better. So with this, now you are raising up to a higher level, and that gives opportunity to kind of nurture leaders there. So I feel we are on that track. So it's a straight away thing that I can see from such network. And yes, more and more opportunities for publications from the network. I mean, that will also help us to reach out to a larger audiences. And that helps out to understand, even we'll know who is doing what. So if we come up some kind of a newsletter or some kind of a thing that when everybody is talking, and similarly as you are organizing different kinds of conferences or such kind of sessions with different themes, and different areas which are challenging. For instance, a lot of people have inhibitions to work in private sector, as Vandana in the very beginning was mentioning. So we have a very, I think that even when I was not part of the sector, I didn't have very clear understanding as to how a corporate sees, that particularly in India. I always say CSR is a very kind of a normal exercise, or in terms of their operations, they will be only seeing the business thing. But actually jumping, entering into the sector, into the space, only will really know how things are operating. And there are a lot of scope for women to actually come and see and establish and talk about environment, about water. So the IB has given me that opportunity. So here they have, so it's an example for me. So they are developing now. So in that process of this entire transition and development, I have that freedom to bring whatever my knowledge I have accumulated all these years, and to see how that can be implemented in this in a very business kind of a scenario. So the company like IB will be a very good opportunity for a lot of women. So that's how I feel that coming into such space will also generate leaders in future, not to shy away from them. So, and then even working with government, like since I have also worked with government as an individual, that time I was not associated with any institution. I was an individual as a researcher, but that also helped me to see and then understand the scenario. They're also a women leader, because that time the collector and the deputy collector, CEO, they were also, she was a lady IS officer. So that's how the sensitivity of a woman helped me to draft the concept note, and kind of went ahead and shared that with the department. So I feel we don't have to be fearful of the fact that what people will think. We should use every opportunity in a way that help us to reach our voice to the people, And such, whether it is a platform like Wiki, national, international, different, and also interact, kind of connecting with other networks internationally, Wiki and other networks, all such network connection itself opens up the door. And then comes up the opportunity to whether to do research together or to do anything, any such kind of activities to do together. So that's how
interesting. Yeah, interesting, because when you say that these kind of platforms are required, and just to reiterate that actually we are trying to amplify all of your works, because we want to celebrate it, we want, and this is also the role of leadership, that we not only walk in that path, but we also take along more women along with us, and that's very important and crucial part. But you also made some very interesting remarks on working in the corporate sector, jumping into it to understand it better, and also knowing that this is the situation, take it with a pinch of salt and just start doing it to establish yourself. Very good learning. But on a lighter note, I will bring my part towards end, but just to understand from you on a very lighter note, and then Vanna will take the concluding question for you. What was more interesting or easier or challenging for you to work with? Two things: to work with men bosses around, or men colleagues around, to work with women colleagues around. And then the other question, what is more enabling in the government sector or private sector or NGO sector? So these are my questions, but I'll do the thank you, and then Vanna will ask the last question.
I would say I'm very fortunate to work with most of the women bosses even now. So my boss here is she's a lady, and she has been very supportive of towards what we discuss and this thing. So, and she has a very our vision for the company towards it has been like tremendous. I mean, she is a new person, new generation, and she looks everything in a different lens. And so I'm fortunate to reporting to a lady boss. That kind of smooths out my journey. In Sake Water earlier also, I had mostly worked with ladies, lady bosses. But even there, Sake Water had a very gender sensitive policy and the environment that helped me to kind of that helped me to work even with all my in a household, or in terms of my personal constraint, which was very difficult for me to travel because I was based out of Chhattisgarh. So, but in general, this difference will always be there. And of course, I'm more comfortable working with a lady because there you are not only working as a colleague, there are a lot of sharing happens, which a lady will understand and support. So I have always received that support all through my life in my professional field from all my bosses, and and so that way. But in here, particularly in a corporate, there are few of them, because I feel that maybe because of the socio-cultural background here, they have a tremendous amount of respect for women, because probably it's not a metro, and they have a very conservative here. So so they have always been very, very respectful towards me here. So I have never encountered anything from my male colleague which will put me into a situation of not being very comfortable or in difficulty. And all my team is all mostly, I haven't been able to gather women, but I'm still searching for, because I have hired 2 students. I mean, pass one from Terry and from IIT. So that's how. But they are both men. So and the group that I'm working mostly are men. So, but it has been. So I think it's all ultimately boils down to the kind of human being you are.
Yes.
So irrespective of gender, it is the basic, it's the foundation and the bottom line. But lady boss gives me an extra assurance.
Yeah, we have also worked together, so we know
Yes,
how the chemistry is between us. So it's really pleasure to know you for some time now, and I'm really looking forward to very long-term association with you, and especially because we both have a very strong heart for Chhattisgarh, So
Yes.
that's an important point, and also an important point of our conversation to bring the last question to Vandana, and it's a very simple question. So with you, Vandana, and thank you, Poulomi, for just opening us to a lot of nitty-gritties about the women in the sector. Yeah, thank you so much, Poulomi, and over to you, Vandana.
Thank you, Mansi.
Thank you so much, Mansi, for taking us into the deeper insights. As we come towards the concluding part of it, Poulomi, while you were, talking of being comfortable with women bosses and, having that extra hand of support, let me put it that way. But as Vicky Water Resources Council and as a, visionary leaders in this space, we are looking for places which are going to be more inclusive in nature, which means women being comfortable with men bosses and men being comfortable having women as bosses around. So what are some of the key things that can be done, or what is your key message to the youth who are going to perhaps join the workforce in the near future and may end up having, either of the combinations that we have been talking about so far? So how can we make these workplaces more inclusive? And gender neutral also to a large extent, let me add to that.
Yes, I mean, basically every sector is now in the process of transition, I feel. Some sector has gone a little ahead. In India context, based on my experience working in some of the best research organizations, to government, to a private sector, if I see my own trajectory of my this thing, so there has been an attempt at the leadership level, in the management level, to make the workspace more inclusive in nature. That is happening right now. That's how I feel that there's the environment right now is apt and conducive to take a step, or jump into that. Not to fear, but to jump into whichever area, whichever sector that a young professional would like to enter. Okay, and but in terms of like, I personally feel that that perseverance is something we have. As a woman, we have that gift of God. So that helps to push through the thing, because it will always be a fight between marginal and more, that will be there. We can't ignore the fact that it will not be there. And here we are not actually, by knowing it, knowing that there will be, we are entering into a space, say for example, and we are not exactly fighting. We are establishing what we are worth, what we deserve.
Absolutely.
So I feel that I am good in whatever I'm doing, because I'm giving more than my 100%. That is what that is what I always feel about myself. So I'm not afraid of the kind of the workload that anybody gives me, or how will I manage how home and this thing, in whether I will be able to deliver. So I feel that I will be able to. So at any point of my age, so like 20 years back or 10 years back, I was more energetic now what I am. So right now, but even now it is in the mind. So once we know that, yes, there will be discrepancy. Yes, we are the marginal group. We are the smaller group who are trying to fight and establish our existence. But still, in terms of the work, or in terms of this thing, we have to put double the effort. And there is nothing wrong in putting double the effort. That's how we establish ourselves. So that's my clear thing to
fair view.
To
fair view on that.
Yeah.
I think this brings us to the conclusion part. Let me formally thank Mansi for leading the conversation today once again for us. So thank you so much, Mansi, and thank you, Jyoti, for joining us. Most importantly, a huge thanks to you, Poulomi, for coming out and sharing the perspective of the lesser known sector for us. And this, the valuable insights that you have shared on behalf of the private sector, and your words of encouragement in terms of how we should be very open to joining and actually, entering into that sector and seeing things from that perspective. So thank you very much for sharing that. We thank our, Wiki Council members for having supported us in this. Thank you so much, EDRC, for having given us this opportunity. Next week, we are going to meet another speaker, Garima Punia, same time at 5 o'clock. So see you all on the other side. Take care.